Good evening, my Roslins and Rosikins. Dun 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 dun. Okay, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Jeff, the fucking killer. Is anybody here familiar with creepy pastas? Cause I am. And if you know about Wattpad and their internet in like the 2010s, you know that creepypastas were all the rage. You got Slenderman, you got Smile Dog, you got Ben Drown, you got Sally, you got Offenderman, you oh god. Oh my god. You got the Rake. Is it the Rake? I think it's the Rake. You got Laughing Jack. You got who else you got? You got so many people, so many creepypastas. But Jeff the Killer was my favorite. You wanna know why? Because he reminds me of an emo teenage boy when I was a teenager that was like obsessed with girls or you if you were in the story, if you were the object of his eye or apple of his eye, and he wanted to kill you. I know. What the fuck, mother? Listen though, listen. Here we go. Listen. Okay, I just thought it was really creepy and cool because I went through that phase. I know I was raised religious. I am. I do have that in my background. However, I loved reading about creepypastas. It felt like a rebellious teen moment for me, and it was just me fangirling. It was giving email. Okay, so listen. The consensus is that Jeff was once a normal guy, right? A normal boy. His younger brother, Louis, and him were getting bullied. And Jeff had stood up for his younger brother. And then that's when some bullies threw bleach and then lit him on fire at a birthday party. And then he ended up waking up in a hospital and his skin had turned like fucking paper white. And he basically had lost his mind. His eyelids were gone. And he was not the same, but he thought that he was beautiful. And then he ended up having a psychotic break once he got out, and he carved a smile into his mouth, which makes him always smile. As you can see the pictures I'm going to show you. And he killed his family. And then legend has it that, in the future, there's a Slender Man mansion or creepypasta mansion in the Wattpad universe where people make a lot of fan fiction based on that, where all the creepypastas, aka once human, now demon, or possibly just demonic entities and creatures and beings live that like to torment and kill innocent people for fun. And Jeff the Killer is up there with one of the most infamous ones and the most popular ones, right? He's part of that consensus of that group and the elite group of creepypastas. And I thought it was interesting because, like, Jeff wasn't wrong to get revenge on those bullies, but he was wrong to kill his family, you know? And it sucks because during that time, a lot of bullying, like cyberbullying, was becoming a big thing, and the internet started sharing around creepypastas, right? Some say that Jeff the Killer is even based off of a real story to some extent, not all of it, but some of it. And I remember that I used to sometimes be afraid, but so intrigued by the behavior and thoughts of Jeff the Killer. He was actually one of the first possessive, jealous, toxic teenage characters teenage boy characters I've ever experienced or was introduced to as a child, or I should say preteen. So I was infatuated because it's like, oh my god, like the way that the story describes him, like I've never experienced someone like that, and I don't even know what that is, but they put it all on this demonic little teenage, well, not little, but demonic teenager who lost his mind after a case of bullying. So I find it very interesting, into which we are drawn in by creepypastas overall. And his favorite catchphrase is "go to sleep." And I don't know, I was just so interested. I was just like, oh my god, like he's so interesting. And like, okay, I might talk on about other creepypastas too with this video. So I'm thinking about Sally and how her backstory. She's this little creepypasta girl, so this little haunting girl, and her backstory is that she was touched by her uncle. I think it's one of her backstories, and he killed her, and that's why she turned into a creepypasta, aka a demonic entity. And she lives with Slenderman, who takes on the role of her demonic father to try to protect her, even though they're both demonic. Um, at the Slenderman Mansion or the Creepypasta Mansion in some of the Wattpad fanfiction I read. So it's very interesting the backstory of some of these characters, like Jane the Killer. She is a product of Jeff the Killer because Jeff the Killer, killed her family, and then she lost her mind because of it, right? And so she wears a mask because I think he carved her too, her face and whatnot, and she hates him. And then in some stories, they're lovers. So it just depends what you're reading and like how you interpret their situation, their connections. Um, I just find it so interesting. You have Dr. Smile, I believe. You have so many different like horrific internet stories about these different demonic entities. And I don't know, it always drew me in because I've never read stuff like that. And that was my first time learning about a universe in which basically the demonic are in control and they're thriving on their terror, and they're in the package of a teenagers or other type of beings. And so, and they talk and they have like humanistic thoughts and desires, and the way that some of the writers write them out as in their characters for these different group pastas is very relatable. So I just found it so interesting, you know. But if you are into creepypastas or just the killer, comment down below. Tell me who's your favorite creepypasta, who are you obsessed with, which character, and why. And with that, I'm gonna say ciao.